It's been a while since I posted a vlog, and I'm definitely overdue for one. I have a whole bunch of different things that I want to start posting on YouTube, but the actual act of creating videos and editing them and doing all of the work to post them is just kind of very low on my priority list, and actually a lot more effort than I have time or energy for right now. So what you're seeing in some of the visuals here is some craft supplies and some work that I'm doing. When I first decided to quit my full-time job, I decided to really lean into the little luxuries and kind of things that I could do as hobbies with my time and effort as opposed to money. Kind of knowing that I don't have a lot of extra money to spend, but that I still really like some of the things that I have like as little luxuries all the time. So, over the course of the last couple of years, I've taught myself how to make incense and make candles and make paper and even sew and make journals out of the paper. And I have stuff on my list that I still want to learn how to make, like how to use the scrub oak out in my yard to make ink. These are all things that I'm still working on. But the idea here is that, the world around us offers some of these things like paper. I have been able to make paper with, I think I spent about $20 on supplies for it. And that was a thrift store food processor that I use. It's dedicated just for paper. So I've been recycling paper for ages now, but instead of taking them to the recycling center, I just rip it up into tiny little pieces so that I can reconstitute it as paper later on. So that's the kind of stuff that I've been doing for over a year now, and that I kind of feel like is part of what we all need to be doing as we're kind of drawing in our expenses and trying to budget a little bit more, as well as just kind of staying sane and grounded. This is incredibly stress relieving. And it's also, I'm doing something to make something for myself. I wouldn't call it a hobby, but it's definitely a craft project. And it's something that I haven't had to really buy a whole lot to do. I think that all of the incense and the candles and all of that stuff, aside from a few raw materials, generally speaking, I'm able to kind of reuse and or recycle things that I already have around the house. And that not only cuts expenses, but it also makes me feel very satisfied. One of the things that I keep trying to explain to people is that there's some neuroscience around doing things with your hands. Having a tangible thing that you've created or fixed or mended with your hands is, it reduces anxiety and it reduces sensations of powerlessness. So that's kind of what I'm going after when I'm doing these kinds of activities. The other thing that I have some video footage of that I'll probably use is doing some work to prepare jars to reuse them for candles. My neighbors at this point know that I reuse candle jars, and so I get given a bunch of, old yucky candles that are all burned down. And it's actually incredibly helpful because I tend to give candles away as a gift, especially at Christmas time. So having extra jars that I can use to make gifts is super handy. It saves me from having to buy any additional things. Yeah, sure, I still have to buy the wax, but it's not as bad as buying full-on like candles that are anywhere from $8 to, $50 a candle. I do experiment with putting various scents in my candles, so I can't really reuse the wax because they're all scented, and they're all scented all sorts of things. So it doesn't work super well to reuse the wax itself. What I tend to do is reuse something from the recycling that I can pour the water into. You really don't want boiling water that's full of wax in your pipes, and you kind of don't want it in your garden either. So it becomes gray water. Like you could like let it cool and siphon off the wax and then maybe water plants with it. But again, it's got all of that scent in it. It's also still got wax in it. So depending on what your garden situation is, you might not want to use that as gray water at all. I tend to put it in a reuse recycling container that's hard for me to recycle. You know, one of those numbers that my local recycling doesn't take. And then I just throw the whole thing, wax, water, and recycling thing all away at once. I do find that where I live now, I'm very cognizant of what I put in the landfill because I have to take things to the dump myself. So I tend to be pretty careful about the waste that I produce. And I'm aware of all of that when I'm doing this work with these jars as well. But there's only one recycling center here in New Mexico that I've found that takes glass. So these glass jars either have to be the wax completely removed before I can recycle them, or I need to reuse them because there's just not very much we can actually do with them here locally. So what I really wanted to talk about was embodying enoughness. And all of this is kind of about embodying enoughness. I already have enough, right? I have enough paper to make more paper. And by being able to make paper and make my own journals, then I have enough journals. And the idea there is really around this concept of, I don't know how to explain it beyond being and having enough. And what I've found is that when I'm really embodying my enoughness, I don't need to buy more things. I can go to the store and buy exactly what's on my list and not impulse buy when I'm really in that space of feeling like I am enough. So if you're struggling at all with this idea of enoughness, which I know it's very common for everyone to feel this way, the way that I work on this as a ritual or like a journal technique is I will journal the phrase, if I were already enough, I'd. And I complete that really fast, about 10 times. So if I were already enough, I'd, do XYZ. And so the very first thing I ever wrote when I did that practice was I'd start my Patreon. That was almost a year ago. And I'm going to link to my Patreon below, just in case you want to check it out. There is a free subscription offer where you can see what's going on and get news and updates without having to pledge monthly money. The monthly money does get you a lot of different things, including short stories and videos and additional deep dives and stuff like that. So that was my very first effort of enoughness. It was, if I were already enough, I would launch my Patreon. Another one was, if I were already enough, I would launch my burnout training courses, and I did that as well. I can link those below as well, just in case you're interested. Those ideas, though, are kind of how you can show yourself that you are enough. And that's really important, because you can say I'm enough and do affirmations all the time, but you actually have to act on it. You actually have to act like you are enough. And so that's kind of what my craft projects are. It's also what my Patreon is. Right now, with my work and my job, I've got the coaching and the classes and the books that are all kind of underway. And one of the things that I have to remember as I'm, deciding if my work is enough, is that the stuff that I offer is valuable. The ideas that I'm offering are of use to other people, and they're valuable enough for me to want to continue offering them. And they're, just valuable in general for people to want to pay for them. When you're setting your own prices and stuff, you have to kind of think about whether you're worthy of making that kind of money. And it can be really nerve-wracking. It can also really stir up a lot of these questions of not enoughness. And so as I face down, like all of the insecurity financially, as well as my own kind of anxieties in general, this question of enoughness has been in my mind and in my heart for a while. So I definitely encourage you to try that journaling exercise, as well as maybe trying to think about ways that you can use your effort and your time instead of using money for things that you enjoy and you love. Sometimes we think like, oh, I can't do that because you've never learned how to do it. But honestly, the internet is an amazing resource and you can always find out how to do a thing. And so I really highly recommend kind of exploring those elements. How to repair clothes is another one. How to darn socks. I used a YouTube video to teach me how to do that. And it saves me from throwing things away. It also saves me from having to buy new things. So that's just a really good way of kind of taking stock of the things that you care about enough to learn how to do it yourself or how to repair it yourself. And then it helps with powerlessness because you're able to see yourself fix it or do it. It's kind of a positive cycle of looping feedback, basically. And so I just really think that that's a good practice for all of us right now. I'm definitely feeling the anxiety around raising prices and all of that. But I definitely also feel like I'm safe and I'm enough, and the things that I'm offering have value. And so that's kind of where I am mentally. And I think that I would love to hear back from you if these are the kinds of things you'd be interested in hearing more about, both in terms of like a vlog or in like shorter videos that are like kind of how-tos, maybe journal prompts. I would love to kind of expand what I'm creating, but I'd also like to create things that people actually want to see. So definitely don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you're not a subscriber. I'm always kind of thinking about new ways of using this channel, and sometimes it's just good to have a little bit of an update in general. I hope everyone's doing well. Thank you.